The guy I loved tricked me into a fake date to win a bet. 2 years later, he spent his entire semester begging for my attention. The guy I was unconditionally in love with for 3 years asked me out on a date just to win a $100 bet. 2 years later, he transferred to my university, didn't even recognize the new version of me, and spent his entire junior year desperately begging for a single ounce of my attention. I liked Liam for all of high school. We sat next to each other in AP history, and because I was the quiet, studious girl, I let him look off my nose. He was the golden boy captain of the track team, effortlessly charming, and he had this frustrating habit of making you feel like you were the only person in the room when he looked at you. When he started talking to me more during our senior year, lingering by my locker, and texting me late at night to ask about homework, I stupidly convinced myself that he was looking past my oversized sweaters and frizzy hair. I thought he actually saw me. A month before graduation, he asked me out. He told me to dress up nice and meet him at a local diner on a Friday night. I spent 3 hours getting ready. I bought a new dress, watched a dozen makeup tutorials, and felt pretty for the first time in my entire life. When I walked into that diner, my heart was hammering in my chest. I found him sitting in a booth in the back, but he wasn't alone. 5 of his friends were crammed into the booths around him. As soon as I walked up, Liam looked at me, smirked, and held out his hand to his best friend. "I told you she'd show up," he said, laughing. "Pay up, man." His friend groaned and slapped a $100 bill into Liam's hand. The whole table erupted into laughter. They had made a bet on whether the invisible girl was delusional enough to think Liam would actually take her out. I was the punchline to a joke I didn't even know I was a part of. I didn't scream or throw anything. I just turned around and walked out into the cold night air. I sat in my car in the parking lot and cried until I physically couldn't breathe. That night broke something inside of me. The story spread like wildfire by Monday morning. I spent the last few weeks of high school walking the halls with my head down, counting the seconds until graduation. I decided right then and there that I was never going to let anyone make me feel that small ever again. I went to a big state university on the opposite side of the country. I didn't just move, I completely reinvented myself. I threw myself into the gym, figured out how to clear my skin, learned how to dress in a way that commanded attention, and most importantly, I forced myself to be outgoing. I joined a sorority, became the vice president of the debate club, and built a massive circle of friends. By the time junior year rolled around, I was unrecognizable. I wasn't just confident, I was thriving. I knew my worth, and I didn't think about Liam or that humiliating night anymore. Then, on the first Tuesday of the fall semester, I walked into my advanced marketing seminar, and my heart stopped. Sitting in the 3rd row, looking a little older and a lot more lost, was Liam. I found out later through a mutual friend that he had partied too hard at his first college, lost his track scholarship, and had to transfer to my university as a backup plan. I took a deep breath, walked past him, and sat 2 rows ahead. He didn't even glance at me. He had no idea who I was. It took him exactly 3 days to figure it out. I was sitting at the campus coffee shop, laughing with my roommate, when I felt someone staring at me. I looked up, and Liam was standing near the pickup counter, his jaw practically on the floor. The realization was washing over his face in real time. He walked over to my table, looking nervous for the first time in his life. "Chloe?" he asked, his voice cracking slightly. "Is that really you?" "Oh my god, you look absolutely incredible. I barely recognized you." He acted like we were old friends. He acted like he hadn't destroyed my self-esteem for $100. I just looked up at him, gave him a polite, hollow smile, and said, "Hi Liam, small world." Then I turned back to my roommate and completely ignored him until he awkwardly shuffled away. That was the beginning of his obsession. Over the next 2 months, Liam made it his life's mission to get into my orbit. He somehow got my number and started texting me. First, it was about class assignment. Then, it was asking for recommendations around campus. Then, it was outright asking me to get drinks with him. I never blocked him. Blocking him would have meant I cared. Instead, I gave him the most excruciatingly polite, emotionally unavailable responses possible. If he sent a massive paragraph about how much he missed our high school conversations, I'd wait 8 hours and reply, "Haha, yeah. High school was a crazy time." If he asked me to hang out, I was always super swamped with finals. It drove him insane. He started showing up at the campus gym when I was there. He pledged a fraternity that hung out with my sorority, just so he could be at the same party. He would watch me from across the room, waiting for a chance to talk to me. Every time he approached, I treated him like a distant cousin I barely tolerated. I was never mean. I was just entirely out of his reach. The breaking point happened at a Halloween party. I was standing in the kitchen, and Liam cornered me. He had been drinking, and the confident, golden boy facade was completely gone. He looked desperate. "Chloe, please, just give me 5 minutes," he begged, stepping closer. "I know I messed up in high school. I was a stupid, immature kid, and I was trying to impress my friends, but I've changed. And seeing you now, you're the most amazing, beautiful girl at this entire school. I can't stop thinking about you. Just let me take you on one real date. Let me prove it." I looked at him. I looked at the guy who used to make my stomach do backflip, the guy who I cried over for an entire summer, and I felt absolutely nothing. No anger, no vindication, no butterflies, just pity. "Liam," I said, keeping my voice perfectly calm and steady. "You didn't change. You're the exact same guy you were 3 years ago. You didn't suddenly realize my worth. You just realized I got hot. If I still looked the way I did in high school, you wouldn't even be looking in my direction right now." He opened his mouth to argue, but I cut him off. "I forgive you for what you did," I told him honestly. "But forgiveness doesn't mean access. I built a really beautiful life for myself, and there is absolutely no room in it for someone who needed to humiliate me to feel good about himself." I walked away and left him standing there, speechless, in the kitchen. A few weeks later, I started officially dating a guy named Ethan. Ethan was in my debate club. He was brilliant, kind, and he had asked me out on a coffee date our sophomore year, long before my glow-up reached its peak. He liked me for my brain, for my sarcastic jokes, and for who I was on the inside. Being with Ethan was effortless. There were no mind games, no mixed signals, no bets, just genuine, mature love. Liam had to watch us from afar for the rest of our college career. He saw Ethan bring me flowers after my presentations. He saw us laughing in the quad. I heard through the grapevine that my rejection actually broke Liam's ego in half. His grades slipped for a bit, but eventually, he started going to therapy. He actually dropped out of his fraternity and started taking his life serious. Right before graduation, I was sitting alone on a bench, waiting for Ethan, when Liam walked up to me. He didn't have that desperate, hungry look in his eyes anymore. He just looked tired, but genuine. "Hey," he said softly. "I'm moving back east after graduation. I just wanted to say, you were right about everything. I was superficial, and I treated you terribly. You not giving me the time of day was exactly the wake-up call I needed to stop being such a garbage human being. So, thank you. And I'm really happy for you and Ethan." I looked at him, and for the first time since high school, I gave him a real, genuine smile. "I'm glad you figured it out, Liam. Have a good life." He walked away, and that was the last time I ever saw him. People always think that the best revenge is ruining someone's life, or making them fall in love with you just so you can break their heart the way they broke yours. But that's not true. Revenge that keeps you tied to your trauma isn't a victory at all. The ultimate revenge is completely leveling up your life. It's building a reality so incredible, so full of genuine love, success, and confidence that the person who hurt you doesn't even fit into the picture anymore. It's reaching a point where you can look the person who broke you right in the eyes and realize they don't hold a single ounce of power over you. I didn't win because Liam finally wanted me. I won because by the time he did, I no longer cared.